In the last section, we got a brief view of exactly how a stack works. We're now going to combine stacks and queues together and look at the bar none most common interview question that you're going to see around both of these data structures. So inside of my code editor, I'm going to find the directory marked q from s, and then open up the index.js file inside there. As usual, we will also flip on over to our terminal and run jest q from s / test.js -- watch to start up our tests as well. And so over here, we're going to expect to see about 5 tests total. Okay, let's look at our directions. So the first thing that you should understand is that the name of this exercise, q from s, is short for q from stack. So the goal of this exercise is to implement a queue data structure using 2 stacks. So you and I are going to create 2 separate stacks, and we're going to use those to implement a queue. It's going to be kind of an interesting challenge because it's going to really make sure that you understand some of the differences behind a queue and a stack, and it also requires a little bit of problem-solving skills. Now, the first thing I want to tell you here is no cheating allowed. So we're not going to create an array inside the queue class. If you scroll down a little bit, you'll see that I already provided you with an implementation for a stack. So this is the same stack that we just put together in the last video. So you have to create 2 of these things right here, 2 stacks. You're going to create 2 stacks yourself, and then you're going to use those to kind of fake the behavior of a queue. Let's look at some of the other directions here. This queue class that we're going to put together, this kind of pseudo queue or this fake queue, should add the methods or implement the methods add, remove, and peek. So essentially the 3 methods that we had added to a queue when we previously put one together. If you need a reminder on which of those do, well, of course, go back to the queue exercise and take a look at each of them. Now there's an example right here. So just to make sure it's really clear, we're going to create, or the expectation is that we could use this class queue that we're going to make. We should still be able to call queue.add, queue.add. We should be able to peek from it and remove records as well. But this time around, for the actual storage of records, we are not making an array. You are going to create 2 separate stacks and somehow manipulate those to imitate exactly how a queue behaves. So if I put this in diagram format, very simply, this is what we're doing. Stack 1, stack 2, somehow manipulate these things together to simulate a queue. Now this is a classic example of a question where once you solve it one time, or once you see the solution one time, you're going to remember the solution for all eternity. Another one of these classic, you've either seen it or you haven't questions. So if you are completely stumped right now, if you just can't even possibly imagine how you might approach this, don't sweat it. At least give it a little shot. Maybe put together a diagram and think about how you might do this. Otherwise, continue with me in the next section and we'll take a look at the solution. So at this point, feel free to tackle the solution here. I'll leave it all up to you, and we will meet up in the next video and start looking at how to solve it. So I'll see you in just a minute.